It's rolling. Perfect.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Life Matters with Marco Jacobs. Good to be with you. Thank you for being tuned in already. And tonight is going to be another exciting episode. And we had to have another guest on for tonight, but unfortunately, there was, of course, a death in the family. I'm talking about Crystal Peanut. So, if you were waiting for this particular episode with Crystal Peanut, we've postponed that to another date. And I'm fortunate to have another guest in. But also, please continue to pray for Crystal Peanut and Craig and the family, of course, with the loss of their son Micah, and we're keeping them in prayer. And when the opportunity arises, we'll be speaking to Crystal when she is ready, and they will tell of their story, their testimony, even in this time, how God is taking them through this experience. But good to have you on board, of course, and I've got an inspirational person for you on tonight. On short notice, he decided to be part of the stream or part of this show, of course. And so this is episode 4. Can you believe it? And just going out on a limb, going out in terms of being obedient to God in talking about life matters and stories that matter to you and I. And we get to tell it our way, in our vernacular, in the way that we can express ourselves. And I'm looking forward to giving you more great testimonies and stories coming out of communities. I want to say hello to Anami, hello to you tuned in. So you can leave a comment in the comment section, of course, if you want to. So we're streaming live to Facebook and YouTube. So I'm on Marco Jacobs Radio on Facebook, and then on YouTube as well on Marco Jacobs Radio, and then on my own personal platform as well as to the Love Bunch. But also, if you are on the YouTube channel, do the following. Please go and like this episode, subscribe, and also ring the notification bell. If you can do that for me, please. Let me just do this. So go onto YouTube if you're there, like this particular episode, and also hit the subscribe button as well as the notification button. And on Facebook, go and like and share this page, Marco Jacobs Radio, and more episodes going on to this particular platform as well. So thank you for being tuned in. You guys can, of course, leave your comments in the comment section. And with that, let me bring in my guest for this evening, none other than Mr. Albert Matthews. Albert, hello and welcome to Life Matters with Marco Jacobs.
Hi, good evening, Mr. Marco Jacobs and the Life Matters followers. It's a great honor for me to be part of this conversation tonight. And yeah, I think we're speaking as life matters, and in this time period, we really need to understand that life really matters in this time, eh?
Yeah, and I could have nobody better than you tonight to share your story, of course. And you have a remarkable story, and I love vibing with you, of course. We've had a relationship for a while now, and maybe I want to go back and I want to let the people know how it started, literally. I got Albert at the radio station and struck up a conversation. You came with Pastor Norman Jacobs that day. You guys had an interview there. They didn't come to
we did
see me, but when he saw me, we had a nice chat. Yeah, go for it, Albert. So you were sitting over there, and we didn't have a long time to chat. But I think from that point onwards, we really struck up a rapport and a relationship, and that's how I got to know Albert. Albert is a very curious guy. He's a person that loves to learn, loves to get around people and learn from them. And Albert, your story tonight is it's a remarkable story. We're going to delve into that a little bit later, going back to the past. I want to go and look at where you are now, Albert. Albert Matthews, the person that we know tonight, a purpose-driven life. And when I look, hello, Malachi, how are you? He's one of my favorites, one of my favorite youngsters over there. I don't know, Albert, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. So I'm listening to what you're saying.
I want to know if you can hear me. Okay. Yeah. And so our theme tonight, a purpose driven. Before we go back, let's talk about Albert Matthews now. So when people meet you
Yeah. Okay.
now,
So
Albert, they probably won't cover it.
yeah. So obviously, yeah, Albert Matthews today. I'm working for a company called Beulah Africa, and I am a facilitator, training facilitator for a company called Beulah Africa. And so I'm married to Tammy Joe Matthews. I've got two beautiful kids that we have, and I am just a guy that is community orientated, loved developing young people, love to be in and around young people, and what I've done in this in the time period like now is I went on and I went on to this new journey that I'm finding myself in, this where it says I choose purpose. And my whole thing of choosing purpose, it was a eventful happenings that brought me to the point of understanding that I needed to choose purpose over popularity. And that is my message that I have for today, sister, that I choose purpose over everything. And obviously, but there were certain things that needed to happen for me to understand that I needed to discover what my purpose is. So that is Albert in a nutshell. That is what I am, what I'm doing today.
Albert, I think you holding out on us a little bit. There's so much more depth to you, and I want to really talk about Albert Matthews now, the the work in progress. Where you find yourself now is way different to 13 years ago. And maybe people thinking, what are you talking about? Here is a guy leading a generation. Here is a guy that is contending for a generation, a purpose driven guy, living his life out in order to help the next generation, which is a part of. But what he's doing is now he is letting him into his experience and helping them along in a way that they can bring purpose to their own life. So, Albert, what am I talking about? People might think Marco is maybe exaggerating, but your life simply was not easy.
Sure. Okay. So I think about, yeah, 13 years ago, the person that you are seeing today is not a person who I was 13 years ago. So I was a young man caught up in a lifestyle of drugs, in a lifestyle of gangsterism, and really just they had no direction in life, had no purpose in life, didn't know if I'm coming or if I'm going. And the only thing that I only wanted to do is I was always fighting for my next fix. I was always hunting and trying to get to my next fix. And that's the kind of lifestyle I loved. And I actually dropped out of school in matric. I dropped out of school and because of I wanted to go full time into gangsterism. And it has really been a tough journey for me to get to the point where I am today, because in the time period of being on drugs and being into gangsterism, there was a lot of things that I needed to lose to make me realize that there is more to life than what I'm currently like. There's more to life than my circumstances. But I didn't just like make a decision and say, okay, I'm going to go into drugs. So I grew up in a household where my father was on drugs, my mom was an alcoholic, my brothers was into gangsterism and into drugs as well. So I always tell people that I was born in something in a negative. I was born not to really make it in life, because my circumstances wasn't conducive for me to become anything in life. So that is where I come from. I come from a household where a father was in the house, but he was smoking drugs with his friends. I come from a household where a mother was in the house, but she was drinking with her friends. Where my brothers was seeing to their own needs. And this is the kind of lifestyle and the upbringing that I come from. And I kind of told myself that this is not the lifestyle that I want to go into. But I was
Yeah.
I think I was contaminated by negativity, and it just pushed me into the stream of going to drugs and going into gangsterism.
And we're not glorifying anything of the past. We're not. It's not just another story of somebody that was caught up in gangsterism. gangsterism and drugs. We're telling of a story of real hope and a story of how you can overcome. I actually want to urge you, if you are a parent of a child that is drug addicted or is caught up in the snares of gangsterism, this is for you to listen to or share the story. Go and share this on YouTube. Go and share this now on Facebook. Share this broadcast. I think somebody needs to hear this remarkable story of a young man whose life turned around now for the benefit of others. He's very selfless in what he does, in terms of bringing up this generation. He's a champion for this generation, contending for them. And Albert, maybe we want to play people a little bit, a snippet of what you were talking about. And a lot of us can somehow identify, but maybe not totally. But we know this is a story that plays out a lot, especially on the Cape Flats. But we're not making excuses, because we know there's a hope, and we know what his name is and know who he is. But we want to introduce people to that hope. His name is Jesus, of course. But we want to tell people how to get there. Often we see an Albert Matthews where he is now, but people don't often get to know how you got to where you are now. And I think it's important that we need to share our vulnerability sometimes. It's important that we need to share with people how to get to where you are at. And we need to mentor. We need to bring people up to a level where they are not quite yet. So I'm going to quickly see if I can play something for us in regards to a little bit of your story. I'll pause it somewhere along the line, and then you can take it up from there, because I think it's a very important story to tell. So let me quickly see if I can just do that quickly. Let's go into the story, Albert.
I am the youngest of four brothers. So I grew up in an area called Kensington. My life, I actually grew up in Kensington. So we grew up in a household where it was a family house. So my dad used to, yeah, sell drugs, smoke drugs, use drugs. Was the lifestyle in the house was always, there was always like a kind of a party vibe. People used to come, we come drink. My dad would sit in the yard with his friends, busy smoking drugs. So my brothers, them in their room, they will be sitting and drinking, drugging, whatever they be doing. So that is kind of the lifestyle that was here for me. Also, my dad kind of, we were the sheriffs of the court came, and they kind of took all our belongings and put it on the side of the road. We needed to move out, yeah, because of my dad's habits of smoking. He didn't able to pay the bill of the house and stuff like that. And obviously, serious of the court came, and they put us out. And that kind of also fueled me to go more into finding covering in a gang, because then I was covered, because you walking around and you had status, man, because of being part of the gang. And for my parents, and on the other hand, it was a bit challenging with him, because I needed to move to drugs and to gangsterism. Smoking drugs just maybe to numb the pain, numb the feeling, split the whole family, and that sense of belonging, a family belonging together, man, it kind of just died. And then I needed to just hustle for myself. It's all because of the decisions that I've made, to be part of a gang, and then, like, I needed to make a decision. Either I'm done with gangsterism and then be part of the family, or I chose to be part of the gang than to be part of my family. Lekker, lekker, lekker. Ja, ik zie de laatste dag, ja. The place where I took my first hit of drugs was that house. And I came to him and I asked him, what is this? And he told me, no, it's crystal meth. And then he kind of introduced me to smoking it, because I didn't know how to smoke it. Yeah, for some of the friends. Was one of the ladies I grew up in front of me. Because of my affiliation with my family, and always they were having this violent nature, it was kind of easy for me to kind of go into the lifestyle of gangsterism. I was very good in schoolwork though. Like my academically, I was a strong student. So when I was in primary school, I always excelled in my marks. I was always one of the top three students.
And he was a very intelligent boy, and he went off the rocker in grade 10 and grade 11. He made bad choices, poor choices with the friends that he became friends with. He had a lot of potential, and I knew if he just uh, changed his lifestyle, that he could become. a role model for the girls.
my mischief and stuff that I caught on school and in Miss Julius at that time, which is Miss Hazel now.
Yeah.
She would always be my advocate and always advocated for me and always tried to see the better side of me, despite of the fact. And I went into gangsterism full time. But then I was a fool all the time. If I could reverse anything, I would reverse that this season as to saying that moment in my life where I just got up and stormed out of school for absolutely no reason, because what they wanted the best for me. I remember I came off the school and the principal was sitting and he's talking to me, and I just got up and I told the principal, you know what, you can take the school and you can shove it up in your ass. And I walked out of school. After school, I came to school and I had a bottle of Jack Daniels in my hand and a massive American flag. And I was standing in front of school and I told this principal he can't do nothing for me because I was drunk and all this stuff. And then I went full time into gangsterism. Then
So we'll pause it there for now, Albert. We'll pause it there for now. Just having a look back at that, how does that make you feel?
Yeah, I was actually the whole part of there by our house, man. It's like kind of just made me like emotional, man. Like it's like, oh, yeah. I think it's where I'm at now. Like I shouldn't have been here. And many times people think that when I say I choose purpose, it's like for me, it's like I was a young man that had absolutely no purpose in life. One of my turning points in my life, and that really made me realize that God had a plan for my life, was when a friend of mine was shot 14 times in front of me, and the guys, they shot 2 shots on me and they emptied the gun on him. And at that moment, you don't realize what you're finding yourself in. You don't realize what it is. And decisions that I've made has hurt people around me. Decisions that I've made has caused people's lives to be taken away as well. And for me, it was something that was always hunting me. And I think I was trying to numb this guilt with drugs and with alcohol and with the mischief life, but it didn't fill that void. But it was a moment in my life where Marco, like really where, you know, like where your back is against the wall and you know it's like you've tried everything now. It's like I tried drugs, I tried gangsterism, I went into prison, I've tried all this stuff, but nothing could fill this void that was inside of me, because it wasn't a man-made void, it was a God-sized void, and God could only fill that void. And the day when I accepted Jesus Christ into my life is a day when I realized I started smoking drugs on a Wednesday for my very first time. I got saved on a Wednesday. And for me, like when I got saved that specific Wednesday, I thought to myself that now my life is going to change tremendously and stuff like that. But it was for me to understand that I needed to cultivate what God has placed inside of me. And many times when you come out of the lifestyle of drugs and you come out of the lifestyle of gangsterism, you really don't know what it is that you want to do. And often you just go into something. So I came into this place, First Community Resource Center, under the leadership of Pastor Craven, who happens to be my father-in-law. I came there, and when I came there, my duty was there to pack out chairs. I packed out chairs, and so we do support group, pack out chairs and stuff like that. And when I'm done with the support group, I pack the chairs up again. But what's this? My dad was still on drugs. My mom was still an alcoholic. So when I went and I joined the support group, part of the support group structure was that your parent needed to join the support group structure as well. So when I was doing my recovery, My father then came to support me, but then it helped him to stop using drugs as well. And at the same time, when he stopped using drugs,
Sure.
my mom stopped drinking alcohol as well. So we simultaneously went through our journey of our recovery together. But it's for me where I needed to call out,
Amazing.
that I needed to go out and say that I needed to make some changes into my life, and it had a ripple effect on my mom's life and on my father's life as well.
Albert, let's talk about choices. And when we look at that video, we look at abject poverty. We look at circumstances that's not great, and talking about mom, dad, not in the right place. The whole family is just this is just disjointed. Doesn't look like there is a hope. Doesn't look like there's a future. And then you're at school. You're doing quite well, but you're mischievous, you're naughty, and also you rebellious. And it comes to choices, and you're about to just say, "I'm done," because I don't see a future for me. Talk to me about choices and how it impacts a generation, how it impacts people when you make choices that set you back for years. Talk to somebody about that.
I think when it comes to us making decisions and making choices, I think one of the things that we often do, and this is from me, in my personal capacity, I think I took the easy way out. And the easy way out was for me to go into gangsterism, was to go into drugs and go into all that. But that was the easy way out. But the difficult thing that was was to go against the stream, because it was already said that Albert, you already set up for failure.
Mm.
It was already kind of put out there for me. So I could have made the difficult decision and say, look here, I'm not gonna go what you wanted to put on me. I'm gonna go to a total different direction. But I decided to go the easy way out. But in a moment of time, because what I did is like I made a decision. We had a meeting. My mom was sitting and I was sitting, and the lady, the teacher that was speaking in the video, she was there, and it was the principal and stuff like that. They were so busy. They were having a conversation about my future at the school, because academically I was doing good, and but on the other hand, I'm just being naughty. So they were trying to figure out how are we going to get this young man to understand that he has the potential to do so much more than what he's
Yeah.
doing. But I
Yeah.
got up of the seat and I moved out. And it was an instant, because I wanted to show people and I wanted to impress people and show them, look here, I wanted to be a better gangster. I wanted to be and a lot of these influences comes from what I've seen on music videos, because at that time I was watching Notorious B.I.G. I was watching Puff Daddy music videos, and I thought that was the lifestyle that I wanted to live, because as you could see, the household
Mm.
where I came from, it wasn't one of the best of conditions of the household and stuff like that. So obviously you had this fixated dream that you needed to come out of this, and I took the easy way out. And many times we do not want to go through life, and we just want things to come easily. And what
Yeah.
I did, I went the easy route that I thought is an easy decision, because selling drugs and selling it was easy, but the consequences thereof, Marco, it was things that it hunted me. I ended up going to prison as well. So I was in prison 3 times already, and because of decisions that I've made, I didn't finish school. There's a lot of things that I've missed out, and it set me back many years. It set me back, and now for me, things that I want to do. That's why I'm so progressive now. If I put my mind to that, I want to do something, I do it,
Yeah.
because I don't have time to wait. I don't have time, because I've wasted up to 9 years of my life. I wasted at the place of going totally nowhere, because I was in drugs. I was in just totally a mess.
But I want to also talk into that. And often we think that those years are wasted. But when you're tied into what you are doing, it is something that you obviously can speak into other young people into and say, hey, I've lived that life. I've got a bit of experience. You're almost like a GPS to somebody now. You know, when you're stuck in traffic and the GPS will show you, wait, there is a queue up ahead. Maybe take a different route. So you've been there. So a lot of us that's maybe got a bit more experience, we act as GPSs to people to say,
Mm.
maybe you must consider a different course of action because where you're heading is not a great place. But also, just from where you were, say, in your school years before you started decide you're done with school, and other people's now making decisions on your behalf. Take us through that experience in terms of what's happening in your mind. You obviously want to go a different route, or you don't want to be told by people in terms of how you must live your life. But what I'm trying to get at is there's a lot of youngsters today in the same situation, and maybe we don't see it. Maybe we don't see it from their point of view or through their lenses. What is it that people must look out for when they are frustrated with their children or with a loved one or family member that's sitting in that very situation where you are frustrated with them, but maybe we don't understand their frustration?
Yeah. So Marco, if I look at my decisions that I've made my decisions purely based on like my mind was made up that there's nothing good that's gonna come out of me because of my circumstances. That was that. Now sometimes you get a young man that he is finding himself in a space where um you come from a sound environment, and you come from an environment where your both parents is giving you what you want and giving you things that you really need, but you're still finding yourself making that decision to go into a lifestyle where I come from. So now you get this where you, what we call is that you're not environmentally contaminated, but you are behaviorally contaminated. So which means that certain people's behaviors around you influences you to make a certain decision. So now your environment is sound, your environment is good and stuff like that. But now I'm making a decision based on, because I want to go and I want to explore this. So if there's a young person maybe that's finding himself, okay, I have my parents, Albert, I do not come from the same background as you, because, and now you think that, okay, I'm just gonna do it now and then. Because you get some people, I've got it all together, I can smoke now and then and stuff like that. That is the biggest lie that you're telling yourself, because sooner or later you'll find yourself that maybe you just use on a Saturday, but you will find yourself using on a Friday and a Saturday. Then you will use more than that twice in a week, because now your pattern starts to change, your urges start to change and stuff like that. And sooner or later you find yourself going down this rabbit hole. And believe me, it's like it's really not a nice space to find yourself in. And for me, it's like for that young person that wants to go down that, believe me, don't try, because it takes you one hit and it can destroy your whole life. It doesn't mean of the amount of drugs that you're taking, because one hit can take you into a toxic psychosis and you can be there for the rest of your life. I went into a toxic psychosis. I was in a toxic psychosis for 3 days. I saw people walking around and they were all looking like Pokemons to me. But through the grace of God, I'm able here to tell the story. We get people that go into toxic psychosis, but they're not able to come out of it. They're still finding themselves in institutions. So why do you want to go down this route and say that this won't happen to you? So don't allow that your friends' behaviors around you influence you to make a decision to go into drugs. They make you a decision to go into, I'm just going to try it. It's a once-off thing and stuff like that. Even so now, this time period, we have a lot of matriculants that has done with the schoolwork and stuff like that. So now it's just like, let's have a moment of fun.
Yeah.
I promise you, I've known some people that just one moment of fun, they still finding themselves in circumstances where they they have psychotic behavior problems now, but because of just trying once. So once is too many times for yourself. So don't even try to go into that route.
Albert, I think that we need to know what the value of our lives are. And often when we look at people, if I look at you now and I don't know your story, I look at how driven you are, I look at how purposeful you are in what you do. And when I look at you, for me, I don't see that past. I don't know the struggles that you've gone through. But often we may see people in a different way. I've done an illustration, and often when I do go to schools, I would take out some money, maybe not a lot of money. I would maybe take like a 20 Rand note and a crisp 20 Rand note, and maybe two of them. And I often use this illustration. And what I would do is I would ask the learners, so which one has the most value? And they would say the same, because they look the same. It looks new and fresh. And then I crumple up the one. And then I ask, so which one has more value now? And 100% of the time they say the one that still looks brand new, crisp, and it
Yeah.
looks like it's got value. But when we really look at it, the one that I crumpled up, the value didn't change. It's the same. And we need to get to a point where when we see a person in a state and we devalue them and we say, nah, nothing's going to come of them. But yet the whole original intent of who they were was so important to God that the value didn't change. Maybe our perception and their perception in itself also changed, but the value is the same. And and even in this illustration, I told the kid, I gave the one crisp note to them, and I gave the other one. I said, well, when you go to the tuck shop now, it's going to be the same value. You're going to buy the same thing. And so we got to look at people in that way as well. When they are restored, the value is the same. And maybe we want to go on to a little bit more of your story, Albert. Pick it up a little bit after you chose to go into gangsterism. Let's quickly just go a little bit deeper.
Okay.
I started a gang called the Bad Boys. Not started, the gang was already existing, and then I kind of just became into a position of becoming some sort of leader into it. Different sectors in the gang culture. So my sector was purely to make money. So I was good with the mouth. I could always convince people. I was likable. I didn't have a reputation of being in any gang culture. So the area in Kensington that we stayed in, it was a lot of English-speaking guys. And so my main objective was to get them hooked onto drugs so that we can start selling more. With that happening, so then obviously now is where the shooting started happening and where you get involved with these high-risk activities. So it's no longer just selling anymore, but now it's where what is it? You need to walk around the firearm. This is a corner, yeah. So this is was kind of also where we kind of stood and we kind of did a lot of our selling out of here as well. Huh? I'm good, man. Bishop, all right, man. Good, man. Good. Well, good seeing you, man.
Nice seeing you.
Wat gaan nou hier aan? Wat gaan nou hier aan? Goed, man. Ja. It's my name still written here. And that's how many years ago now. And it's still, you can see a Bad Boy. Manu and Albert. So this is here, Albert. It's Mano, Bad Boy, and you have BBC. I'm getting now flashbacks of when we wrote those stuff here on and in the middle of the night, we used to push out drugs in here, but we kind of have a string here. So when we kind of need to pull it out again, we kind of pull it out again. That loose. So we kind of used to move this and put our stuff there. We kind of hide it there as well. So this was kind of really kind of standing our selling out of here as well. The kind of access was to go down here.
When the police come, I stand there and I sit and I say, you better run. Yeah, all over. They have all here around the corner. They have a lot of friends.
Now I stayed here as well. The guy that I was affiliated to, the drug lords here, kind of stayed there as well. And I stayed with him. And we kind of did our selling from there. We went up till there. We broke into that storeroom there and stuff like that. And we went and we chilled there every night. So we used to come at the back, go up, and we would get ourselves into that space there. And we would just chill and use our drugs there. And we kind of have a lookout. It was kind of, with all our friends, we kind of had a certain whistle that we had. So when we used to do that whistle, then the friends would know it's time for them to come out now. Then we would kind of just meet each other here on the corner. So we kind of, this area was kind of predominantly that we kind of protected. And a lot of our selling happened in this specific corner. But it is also in this corner where they shot my one friend when they shot Clint. So he came out of, he's going down to that barber. He came out of this barber at the bottom. And when he came out, they shot him. And he died on the scene. But it was out of this very barber. So I would remember what actually transpired. We then decided we're going to have white tackers on, blue jeans and a yellow diamond jersey. He had a yellow diamond jersey on with these white tackers and blue jeans, and I had the same thing on. I remember there was a lady that said that she saw me walking, and when she saw the part of the body lying here, she thought it was me lying here. His mommy was very upset with me, and she kind of said, yeah, because of me, because he's associated with me, that's why he lost his life. So a lot of these things kind of just kind of dropped, like, I needed to make a change in my life when you come in.
So let's pick it up a little bit more, Albert. You needed to make a change in your life?
Sure. You know, like when I like I when we made this video, and obviously they sent it to me, I didn't really, like really look at it, but now realizing the what I really went through for me to get to where I am today. And I think a lot of times in the time period of where you find yourself caught up in a lifestyle of drugs and gangsterism, and I often ask this question whenever I do speaks at talking about substance abuse or whatever. I often would ask people, what do they see? What is the opposite of addiction? And a lot of people would say the opposite of addiction is sobriety. But the opposite of addiction is not necessarily sobriety, but the opposite of addiction is connection. Because when I was addicted, I was connected to the drugs, I was connected to the gangsterism, I was connected to all the mischief behavior. So when I changed my lifestyle, I needed to connect myself to something else. And my first connection that I did, I connected my life to Jesus Christ. That is the first and the foremost and the most important connection that needs to happen in any person's life. And that is my connection that I've made. And from there, I just continued on growing. And but when I look at that video now, there was a lady, Ma Daniels. She used to come pray 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the middle of the night while we're standing on the corner streets. She would come out and she would have a Bible in her hand, and she's on crutches, she's walking, and you can hear she's coming on because she's walking heavy. And she would come in, she would pray, and she would always say, I pray for Albert. And I'm thinking to myself, this old lady is praying for Albert, but her grandkids is standing here with me. Why don't she pray for them? And I realized, like today, that I'm a product of prayer. That someone's granny was praying for me in the midst of seeing their own children also in drugs and stuff like that. But I don't know what it is that made her realize that she needed to pray for me. And out of all my friends, I was the first one that got saved. I was the first one that got out of drugs. I was the first one that really changed my life. But I understand that she prayed for me so that I can come out, so that I can help them out of it as well. So, and I think this is what we need to understand, is that sometimes as parents, we think that we only need to pray for our own children, but sometimes you need to pray for someone else's child as well, because maybe your own child's salvation is locked up in that one person that you don't want to pray for.
And your life is a great example of how a life can be turned around, and you're a family man now. In fact, you have the capacity to even bring others that would pray for you, a praying grandma. You are somebody that's paying it forward. You have your own kids, but then your heart is so big now that you've taken in others, and you know what the possibility is of a life that is changed and how it can affect people around them, a community, a generation. Why is that so important to you now, Albert, to speak into the lives of others?
Like for me, I think that the stuff that I've lost in my journey of being on drugs, and I lost friends, I lost loved ones, I lost people that was close to me, and nothing that I'm going to do is gonna ever bring them back again. No amount of whatever I'm gonna do is ever gonna bring that my friend Jackson back or my friend Clint back. Nothing I do is gonna bring them back again. So my mindset is that I want to prevent any young person to go through what I went through, to make them realize that God has a purpose for their life. So if I can do it for somebody, if I can help prevent someone from going into the same direction, I would throw my life in the way and say, look here, you don't have to go through what Albert went through, because maybe you're not going to survive what I've survived. And I'm not saying that I survived it out of my own street smartness and street credibility, but I believe today it was the hand of God that was over my life all the time. And I love what you spoke about, and you said about the GPS. And for me, GPS, in a time period when I was on drugs and into gangsterism, I wanted to have a global positioning. I was using global positioning system because the world was setting a standard for me. But when I realized that I needed to change into another direction, I needed to come to the God positioning system, because God's positioning system was positioning me into my purpose, and I needed to understand that God has a purpose and a plan for my life. And the Bible says here, the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah. It says in Jeremiah 1 verse 5, I chose you before I formed you in the womb. I set you apart before you were born. I appointed you a prophet to the nations. And I never realized that God really had a plan for my life. So every single thing that I went through, all my challenges, all my heartache, everything that I went through, there was a purpose behind it. But if I never aligned my purpose to what God wants in my life, I would never realize why I had to go through what I went through. But today I understand now why I had to go through. And that's why between my wife and myself, we were able to open our hearts to say, look, we are able to take some young ladies in with us to come stay with us because they have lost their mom. And now they're with us as well because we have opened our hearts. But I understand that if there was maybe just someone that maybe could have reached out to me in my time period when I was going astray, maybe I would have been a better person than what I am today. But for me, it's like just to prevent it from happening to someone else, I will go. That's why I'm so passionate about what I'm doing. I love to see young people going into what God has called them to be, and not first going down the dip and then coming out, because I believe we no longer want the testimonies of hearing that I once was on drugs, I once was a gangster, but now I'm set free and stuff like that. You don't have to go through the dip to get to where God has planned for you. You can go and you can just have that lifestyle and get into what God has planned for you without having the dip. So only thing that I'm doing, I'm just standing in the gap, making sure that no one goes into that dip. And if I must stretch my whole life, if I must stretch my family, if I must put my family down and say, look here, we are doing this together, that's what we're going to do. That is in the bottom line. That's why I love doing what I'm doing. It's because I understand the hurt, the pain. I understand the disconnection of being pushed aside because of where you come from, your circumstances, stuff like that. That's why I will try to do my utmost best to be of help to somebody else.
And I want to stick with that a little bit. I want to talk about what brings you joy. And of course, we're talking about when you met God and how your life has changed. It's not been all rosy, of course. There's been the challenges. But when we look now firmly back to where you are, how you minister to the young folk today, tell us about this process. What brings you joy in what you do?
For me, is I often make the analogy of when you see a family coming in, and maybe we need to sit down and communicate with the family and have a talk with the family. The mother saying that my son is on drugs, I don't know what to do with him. She's crying. The son blames the mom and like it's because of my mom. So for me, the thing that drives me is the outcome. To see that a few weeks down the line, you see this family happily together. That is the one thing that is driving me. So I always tell people that what I'm doing, I don't do things for the income, but I'm doing it for the outcome. And once you also start understanding if the outcome
Say that again. That is so good, Albert. Say it again. You're not doing it for the income. Say it again.
Yeah. So I don't do it for the income, but I do it for the outcome. And what do you need to understand? So once you do things for the outcome, I promise you, and this is my life testimony, we've all come to the point of we wanted to chase things for the income, and we want to do things for the income, but you need to change it and say, chase the outcome, because once you chase the outcome, the income will follow you. I promise you, we have the time period of we were working in, I was not working in the time period of COVID, but my salary was paid in full to me because we were all in a hard lockdown, but I still, because what I was doing, I was chasing the outcome and the income was automatically following me. But we need to understand that for me, the thing that drives me is to see that here comes a young person broken. He has no direction. She has no direction. They don't know what to do. And a few weeks of spending time with them, counseling them, mentoring them, developing them, and making them understand that there's so much more to life. And then they come back to you and say, I actually got one of the because I'm working with a lot of young ladies now, and she wrote a letter, and in a letter she just say, "Sir, you 100%. Sir, you 100%. I'm 100%." But she made realize that I'm 100% because I developed her to make her understand that she is worth it. There's value inside of her. And that's the one thing that I always tell people, the thing that I'm chasing the outcome. So whatever I need to do, if I must take my income to help someone get to their God-given destiny, I will do that. But it's no longer for me about the income, but that's the thing that I'm chasing is the outcome, and that keeps me going. Because you can do one thing for the income, and then you see you get the salary deduction, and then you got I'm not so happy about it. But once you chase the outcome, it's just joy. It just brings you pure joy, and that's the one thing that I keep on going for. It's just going for the outcome. Yeah.
Aren't you glad that you are no longer where you used to be, Albert? And when you look at your life now and how you are making inroads into the lives of others, it can only be God. And let's look at some of the achievements in this 13 years. What stood out for you? What are you most proud of in that time? I know you do a lot of programs and stuff, but let's first start with your own development. What are you most proud of in that time, Albert?
Yeah, the thing that I'm most proud of for me in my personal development is one of the things. And I think we had a conversation about it. It's called the mathematics of life, and that is where I took my whole life story and I summed it up into something that I've been. It's like. And a lot of people, I've mentioned it. I'm going to bring out the book and stuff like that. But I promise you, this has been a journey for me to understand that there was so much things that I needed to go through for me to understand what do I equal to today. And for me to really process, I think that is one of my greatest achievements. And obviously getting married, having kids and stuff like that, that is all a bonus to it. That is actually the cherry on the cake. My marriage and my kids and family, that is for me, that is the one thing that connected me to understand that there is so much more to life. And for me, and that is things that really stands out for me. But I remember that one of the most significant things in my life was now recently, where a young lady was sitting and I had a conversation, and I asked her, what is your goals in life? And she said, and the question she asked me, is it normal not for someone to have goals? And I said, okay, I'm not going to answer you. That was the Tuesday. I'm not going to answer you because we do a 4-day course. On the Friday, when the Friday came, she was one of the ladies that stood up and said that she wanted to speak at the graduation. And when she spoke at the graduation, she was able to speak so with confidence and with so much, with someone that knows what it is that she wants in life. But when she started off, she didn't know what it is that she wanted in life. But it's just about me being transparent and telling people that where I come from, it's my lifestyle of drugs and stuff like that. But where I am today is where God has really placed me. And when people look at my life, they're like, when I tell people I was on drugs, I'm like, you on drugs? Never, bro. You can't say you like. Then that's why I had to make that documentary. Yeah, so.
And so I want to ask you, and what good can come out of Kensington? Mark says, Slimens and Kensington. What good can come out of Hanover Park and Heidelberg, Manenberg, everywhere on the Cape? This is a microcosm of the potential that's sitting there, and we cannot let a generation go to waste. So I'm going to ask you, while you're watching this, to share this broadcast with somebody. Go and press the share button, whether you're on YouTube or on Facebook, wherever you're watching on Facebook. Please share this, and then I'm going to make this link available to you. If you want to be part of this broadcast and you want to ask either myself or Albert anything, use the link, the HTTPS link at the bottom, and then come into the stream with us. And talk to us. If there's things that you are concerned about for yourself, please make use of that link. And Albert, maybe we'll continue with your story on YouTube quickly, just to give people maybe a chance to come into the stream if they are brave enough to do it. But we want to interact with you, so you are able then just to speak of your own experience, or maybe ask for a bit of advice. And let's quickly just get into the other part of Albert's story.
Into the gang culture, it's always, if they don't get you, they always get the person that is close to you as well. Couldn't go to any of their funerals, so their family was feeling that I couldn't come to the funerals. It was about it's because of me. That's why they children is dead and stuff like that. So I remember I was standing here, and at this time there was a pastor that was staying here, Pastor George. And he came to me and he tapped me on my shoulder and he said, Albert, you need to make a change in your life. And at that time, what change is it that I can really make? This was his words to me. He said, so you see a dark cloud walking behind me, and that is the death man. And if I don't change my life, I will end up like my friend ending up here. And this one specific Saturday, so I had a friend, you call him Jackson. So he was a very, very, very good dancer. So hip hop dancing, break dancing, groundwork, whatever dancing, that is what Jackson could do. So he wasn't a gangster, he wasn't affiliated to a gang, nothing like that. Then he started hanging out with me, but he hanged out with me because he thought it was cool to hang out with a gangster. He was a small brother for me. You know, like the small brother that you kind of just want to take. Even whenever we kind of hanged out and had a good time, party and stuff like that. So he was never around when I used drugs. He was never around when we kind of were on our bad boy behavior. When he was shot, they just like kind of leave it like, yo, it had to be me, man. I think I needed to die in him because he had his whole life ahead of him. He wasn't living the life that I was living, and he was 10 times better than what I was. I'm standing now, we're sitting here on this wall here, but it wasn't as pretty as it is now. And we were sitting here, and then I decided I'm going to go over the road and go buy some tikka chicken. So I crossed the road and I gave him the drugs to keep. So when I came back, the guy then saw me coming on, and took out his fire and he fired 2 shots on me. When he fired 2 shots on me, I then came and I kind of just stood and I could see what was happening there. And what happened is like they then shot him thrice. He fell to the floor and they stood over him and they emptied the gun on him. So then they shot him about 14 times. They shot him, and I had him, and I kind of held him in my arms, and that whole movie scene at our play when somebody dies in your arms, that kind of happened to me. So he was laying in a pool of blood, covered in blood holes, and me on my knees holding him, and just like even the look on his face when he's speaking, I can kind of just imagine him kind of look out and trying to want to say something, but nothing, only blood coming out of his mouth, man. So it was really, how is it possible for me not to be shot once and yeah, he's been shot 14 times? And so this was my turning point where it turned me into making the decisions that I needed to make. And then kind of, when it comes to you making that change, it doesn't happen instantly. There is a build-up of events that happen when you get to that point of saying, okay, this is what I really want to do, but it's incident after incident after incident. But this is one of the significant incidents in my life that kind of spiraled me into making that decisions that I needed to make to bring me where I am today. I think it was now, say, last week on the 1st of May, I celebrated 13 years of my sobriety. So it's been a whole journey of 13 years, but it all started from that whole shooting of my friend 14 times, the shooting of my friend on the Wednesday morning, the shooting of the other guy in the car, that all built up to me making a change in my life. And I am married man, I have 2 kids, I'm married to a beautiful wife, I am a community worker, I do a lot for our community, our own camp, running our own campus. So everything that I'm there, I'm going to start giving opinion just how to influence people's lives negatively. I've turned it around to use people's lives positively.
True. And I said you are very emotional.
Sure. Yeah, Marco, that is like, I think that day when that happened of that shooting, it was really, it's like, sure. I really I don't know. I really, the words is like to think that what could have happened that specific day. And I sometimes like, and I ask myself, it's like, Lord, why me? Why why did I have to survive and not him? And it's like a lot of questions that one asks yourself, and then like when you just don't get an answer, man, and you just feel that. And I think that is one of the reasons why I just feel that I have to do what I'm doing, man, and it's to prevent that one young person to go down the same road that Jackson went in. Because like sometimes our young people are, they they think that to be associated with certain people brings them covering, to be associated with certain individuals that is in the world of gangsterism, that's in the world of drugs, brings them a sense of a status. And at the end of the day, you can pay with your life. And
Mm.
Jackson today is not alive to tell the story, but I'm today, I can tell the story. And I promise you that young man had a promising future. And that is one of the reasons that I will always do what I'm doing. And it's just to save someone alive. I don't want to wait till you go down into drugs and go into gangsterism and then I need to call you out. I want to save you while you're still alive. So if there's a young person that is watching this, and maybe you're just operating with certain people and you think that it's cool to hang out with these people, I promise you, from my experience, get out of it immediately. Don't wait for things to first build up and then it's very difficult for you to get out. While you can still make an exit, make that exit. There is no better choice than to exit the lifestyle of drugs, exit the lifestyle of gangsterism and stuff like that. And maybe you're asking yourself, but how, Albert? I think Marco, you can contact Marco. Marco can give you my details. I'm willing to take on a journey with you. I'm willing to help you. I'm willing to just take you by the hand because you don't have to go through what I went through. And and for me, that is like every time, like for me, watching that part of realizing what God has done in my life, it's just really, I really don't have words.
Albert, I want you to take the next few moments to speak into the lives of young people. I don't know if you want to do the encouragement that you spoke to me a little bit earlier, or you could just free flow and do what you normally do best when you have the word, when you have the opportunity to speak to young people. I know you've touched on it a little bit, but what would your words be to them in this time? Your best words of encouragement um, to really go after their dreams. And often on the Cape Flats, we could be at a place where a lot of us wouldn't allow ourselves to dream. And I'm one of those people who never thought I would get to do what I get to do now. And from my side, I want to encourage whoever's listening now and watching as well that do not give up on your dreams because God has given it to you for a reason and for a purpose. And when I look at the life of Albert Matthews and I look at everything that's within you that is shining so brightly to others, and I mentioned that value that we place on people. And if we looked at you, Albert, in a way that thought nothing's going to come from this guy, and you maybe even viewed yourself like that. But when I look at you, I would not believe the past that you've had. all I see is a bright future. So maybe you want to speak into the life of somebody now. And maybe you want to encourage even the caregivers, the parents, the loved ones to not give up on their offspring and to not give up on the dreams that they have for their own kids. And sometimes we can do that out of frustration because we're not in their shoes. But when I look at the value that all of us have, that it takes one moment to change a life around.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So for me, I just needed one person just that needed to believe in me, and I think that's my father-in-law, was a Craven, and really just saw the value that was inside of me. And many times we don't realize what's the value inside of us until someone maybe recognizes, because from where I come from, I did not understand what was the value inside of me. And I want to do, and I think, Marco, one of the things that I'm just thinking also, one of the moments that I think we shared also, which was very, as the day when I celebrated my 10 years of being clean, and we had that whole moment with my brother.
The day I nearly died. I nearly died that day, by the way, when I got hijacked.
You almost
at
got
gunpoint.
hijacked, and it was really one of those days. And I think when Marco, yourself also, you were the MC, and you just allowed Holy Spirit to move. And one of the things you did between me and my brother, you really sealed our bond and stuff like that. And I think it's 2 years after that my brother got stabbed dead in my mom's house over 60 rand. And and a lot of things then started transpiring, a lot of things going through my head, a lot of things, questions that I'm asking and stuff like that. And I didn't really understand what to do. But the one thing that I did, and I want to use this page as an illustration to whoever that is maybe watching this, that if I fold this page like this, you will see it kind of makes a kind of a shape of a hand. And one of the most important things that we need to understand, that prayer is the thing that is going to help us and it's going to direct our paths, because once you start praying, you will see that this thing will automatically then start giving you direction as to where you need to move. And so the first thing that you need to do in this time period, whether you are a mother caught up, a mother that has a daughter, a son that is on drugs, allow yourself to go through moments of praying and continue to pray. Though it maybe seems that your prayers are not being answered, and maybe it seems that things are not maybe working out for you, but don't stop praying, because the prayers will lead you into people that will be able to help you. And so now that you are constantly praying, we need to understand also the following thing that we need to do is a lot of people, and you can see it makes a shape of a house. So you need to go into the house of the Lord, and do not forsake the gathering of the saints, because we constantly need to come together, because it's in the house of the Lord where you will find someone that will be able to encourage you. You will find someone that will be able to just give you that extra boost to continue to go on. And what the house represents also speaks about the presence of God, because a prayerful person will always be in the presence of God. You will always find yourself in the presence of God. So now that you find yourself in the presence of God, we're going to the next thing. And the next thing that we need to do and what we need to understand now is that we constantly need to find ourselves in the Word of God, because it's the Word of God that's going to continually feed you. That's the Word of God that's going to continue give you direction. It's the Word of God, because the Bible says that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. And you need to get the Word of God into your spirit. But now you went through all of these things, and now you ask yourself, but Albert, I did pray. I find myself in the house of the Lord. I am doing everything that I need to do. I read the Word of God. I pay my tithes. I do everything. But yet you find yourself that things is still going wrong in your life. And then you find yourself that there's maybe things that is being ripped off from you. And that's the crushing period where it's like, something maybe goes wrong, you lose your job, you lose things that starts happening in your life, and you question yourself, and there's more things that starts happening in your life. So you find yourself, and there's so much things that's going wrong in your life, and All the hurt and the pain is here. But when you start understanding that all the pain and stuff that you went through, that Christ was with you all the time, that Jesus was with you all the time. He never left you, never forsake you, but was with you all the time. So in the time period of me also going through what I needed to go through, because in my recovery, I lost my dad, I lost my mom, I lost my brother, I lost so many things that I've lost. But when I start to realize that there was purpose in my pain, I knew that Christ was with me all the time. And so maybe you're finding yourself tonight that you have going through a lot of things. You're going through a lot of things is not working out for you, maybe losing your job and stuff like that. But don't worry. Jesus is with you all the time. No matter what you're going through, remember that He's with you all the time. And I can vouch for that. My life is a true reflection of what God can do in someone's life. Because I was lost, I had no direction, I absolutely were totally messed up. But God was able to turn my life around for me and place me on a solid ground, and I'm able to do what I'm able to do today through what God has done in my life. Amen.
Amen, indeed. Absolutely amazing. Sure, Albert, we've come to the end of our time together, but I was definitely so blessed by your life tonight. And it's amazing how God works it out. You were not supposed to be with us, but in hindsight, you were supposed to be here. And thank you for sharing your life. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being a blessing. And I thank God for connecting us all those years ago, even through an experience where I almost got killed. But it's amazing what God does in our lives, and I'm the better for it. I'm the better for knowing you. And for me, always when I see your life, I see God's hand on you. And continue to do what you are doing. And only later in life, when we look back and we see the impact that we've made in the lives of others, then that's reward enough. But when we are toiling and we're working in the vineyard, it's okay, because it's not for us, it's for God's glory. But when one life is changed because of working in that vineyard, then it's all worth it. And when I see the things that you are doing and always being innovative, always being on point where the young folk are concerned, I bless God for you. I bless the works of your hand, and I pray that more provision and more resources would come into your fold, and your territory to be enlarged, and your sphere of influence to be enlarged. And may you lack nothing. May you lack nothing in what you want to do. I know you have so many dreams, and as we're working on others' dreams, I pray that God would fulfill your dreams. And the word does say, He who refreshes others, He Himself will be refreshed. And I pray that God will refresh you in this time.
Thank you very much, Malcolm. Thank you to all the viewers for the opportunity, and thank you for listening. It's really I think myself also I needed this session. I really needed it as well, because I also dealt with a few things that I was trying to maybe just hide away. But thank you very much for this opportunity, Malcolm.
No, it was simply my pleasure. And I also want to thank you to all the viewers and listeners later when we release the audio of this particular broadcast, Life Matters with Marco Jacobs. And Albert, you are simply amazing. And I simply want to bless you. God bless you. And I think that's where we're going to leave it. It was fantastic being in your company, of course. Thank you to everybody that's been a part of this broadcast. And I want to say till next week, we will have another Life Matters with Marco Jacobs, and somebody inspiring as well. All that's left to say from my side is simply to say thank you for viewing and being part of the show.